Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rakuten Booth Theatre at MWC Barcelona 2026. In our next session, we'll be hearing from executives from Wind River and Rakuten Cloud, who will talk us through the recently announced integration of Rakuten Cloud-Native Storage with the Wind River cloud platform, delivering a pre-tested enterprise-grade cloud infrastructure solution. I'm joined by Anirban Chakravarti, the global head of the enterprise business at Rakuten Symphony, and Daryl Jordan-Smith, the Chief Revenue Officer of Wind River. Thank you both very much for joining me here today and joining us at the Rakuten booth. Oni,
Yep.
I'll start with you. So yesterday, as I said, we announced this news. Can you talk us through what this means for customers, and which needs or which customer needs you are hoping to address with this announcement?
Okay. Thank you, Daryl, and thank you, James, for inviting. So if you look at what customers are looking at, they want an end-to-end solution which will enable them to transform their businesses. Keeping technology aside, the most important thing customers are worried about is security, the biggest thing when you're talking about transformation. They're worried about operational efficiency and reducing total cost of ownership. And they want one entity to take care of everything. So this relationship which we are developing with Wind River is allowing us to deliver that end-to-end solution to the end customers, where they can take our technology and be rest assured that the product delivers to their expectation. So initially, you can deliver the solution with multiple aspects. You can use an open source product to deliver. But the question is, when you use open source, you might not be incurring that cost of buying the licenses. But for everything you do after buying that product or taking that product, you have to make sure you are investing your own resources to keep it updated. With this relationship, the customer gets an end-to-end solution, number one, gets a secure product, and most important thing, their total cost of ownership drastically comes down in this relationship. That's number one. The second thing which is very important is we have a global footprint. Wind River being our partner, we are extremely integrated with our solution, which allows the customers to reach out to Wind River along with us, and they can get a secured environment working with us when it comes to data. So if you look at Wind River is going to sell their cloud platform, we're going to be selling along with Wind River pre-integrated our cloud storage product, which allows the customers to get an end-to-end solution. And the markets which we are going after is retail, manufacturing, banking and finance, automotive.
Yeah.
If you start with healthcare, and obviously public sector. Those are the areas we are going after.
You've kind of stolen one of my later questions, but we can come on to that in a bit more detail shortly on it. Thank you very much for getting us started. Daryl, so we've touched upon some of the elements of complexity, why it's so important to remove that complexity for customers. Can you give us your take on why removing that complexity is so important and why it's so essential now to automate as much of the infrastructure layer as is possible?
Yeah, sure. And thank you for inviting me here today. I mean, from a Wind River perspective, over the last 40 years, we've deployed our real-time operating system technology, our safety certified technology in about 2 billion devices. Those devices need to be connected, and they need to run and send telemetry that needs to get stored so we can do AI across that. That's highly complex, and actually integrating those two solutions in terms of going to market, we can go to a lot of our customers in the operational technology areas such as medical devices, aircraft, automobiles, robotics in industrial settings, and bring that to life by putting together our cloud technology with the storage that we need to be able to store that telemetry and that operational technology so people could do AI across all of that. And then what we're doing in addition to that is our partnership together with ServiceNow that we announced last year. We see data sovereignty as being really, really important, because a lot of that data on medical devices, for example, you don't want that on a public cloud anyway. You want that stored very carefully with various compliance, which is linked to the region that you're actually within. So what we're doing here is we're working very closely with ServiceNow in terms of how do we connect those medical devices to a now instance to provide better medical care and services, removing complexity, lowering that cost, leveraging the now AI-based agentic AI platform on a sovereign cloud-based instance, leveraging what we're doing with Rakuten around storage. It's going to be super exciting. There's just one set of use cases, highly complex, very regulated environment as we move forward. In addition to that, if I look at aerospace, to give another use case, Wind River runs the rockets in the Artemis 2 rocket, which is the rocket that's going back to the moon in a few days' time. It runs the flight control systems. All that telemetry for many years will be stored somewhere. We're actually positioning Rakuten Storage as being part of that overall solution so they can do analytics and expect data and all the things around that particular use case. It's kind of a very topical one at the moment, but it's an exciting one for us.
Thanks very much, Daryl. I mean, you've touched upon some elements of what the next phase of this relationship means, some of the value you see in Rakuten Symphony's portfolio. Yesterday's announcement does, of course, mark a new chapter in an ongoing relationship in delivering enterprise-grade, carrier-grade, cloud-native storage. But what other value do you see in Rakuten Symphony's portfolio? And perhaps, in other words, why is the partnership beneficial for Wind River?
Well, I think also Rakuten has many other technological components. It leads in many different areas. So if you look at either from your Rakuten mobile perspective in terms of doing slicing across a 5G network through to private 5G, those are going to be experiences and technologies that you have, we can bring together to our customers. And at Wind River, we're, and part of our organization being part of a broader Aptiv group, which is a huge $20 billion organization, we're actually using the technology. We're not just selling the technology, we're digesting it, leveraging, seeing value out of it. So when we go talk to our customers, we're actually saying we're deploying and using that technology as well. So we drink our own champagne, as it were, as well as actually positioning with our customers. And that's another example of how I think this can bring together with all the other components that Rakuten as an organization, both technologically and vertically in different market segments that you are actually very active in.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Back to you, Oni. So perhaps we can talk about, again, relating back to this new announcement in terms of what does it mean for the expansion of our partner network, and how does it mark a new chapter in the way we work with Wind River, and perhaps what are you looking forward to most in that respect?
See, end of the day, if you look from a customer point of view, they are relying on us to deliver a secure solution, as I've said before. Again, every IT CTO or CIO, what is their biggest concern? I am relying on you to run my applications. I'm relying on you to make sure the data is 100% secured. If something happens to the data, he loses his credibility. He might not be in the organization. So it's a very important thing that data is extremely secured. We take data very easily, but in reality, data is enormous amount of gravity to the overall scheme of things. Any data which Daryl talked about, if it's a health data, if it's a public sector data, data security is one of the critical aspects of it. Now, the second thing is, if I'm running an operation, and what is my biggest concern? My biggest concern is I need a time to market. If I'm launching a product, and if I am a CIO and I'm talking about it, I want to make sure my time to market is the least because I'm competing with the market areas, right, with my competition. That's number one. Second, which customers are looking is, if I have a problem, whom do I call? These are basic questions. These are not rocket science questions. In this relationship, we have built an organization or together where the customer needs to call just Wind River, and we are behind Wind River making sure we are training their people, we are training the sales organization. It's an integrated platform. The second thing is, as the market is moving with new releases, and these are very transactional discussions which the customers are worried about. If I upgrade my firmware, if I upgrade my operating system, if I upgrade my cloud platform, what happens to the storage below it? Are these all synchronized? Are these pre-integrated? Have you worked together as the engineering level to make sure these things work together? We are doing all the pre-validation work much ahead of the curve. So when the customer places a PO, he needs to be rest assured this part of the business is going to run seamlessly going forward. And not only on day 0, day 1, day 2, day 3, because there are upgrades happening every 15 days, 20 days. The world has changed a lot. There was the days when we were growing up with uh, the upgrades were happening maybe 6 months down the line. Now upgrades come every 20, 30, or maybe within a quarter. So we are making sure our engineering organizations are absolutely aligned to make sure the new releases meet the customer expectation.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Indeed, I suppose, as we've touched upon with previous discussions, it's about enabling operations at the edge much faster in real time, enabling to scale software to thousands of sites potentially in that kind of distributed model as well. Very important aspects there. Daryl, can you talk us through something that Oni touched upon earlier, is the specific verticals we're targeting, the specific needs of those industries? Again, Oni's mentioned public sector and healthcare, but from your perspective, how does this solution meet those specific industries and their needs?
Yeah, I think some of that depends on Wind River and our heritage, our client base. So we have 2,000 customers, over 40 years in the industry. We've embedded our technology in areas which require security, low latency, resilience, is a key area of what we need to do. And our partnership is really delivering that capability to our customers. And what's exciting about it is we are innovating now at paces between our companies and together faster than anyone has ever seen in the past. And our customers need to be able to keep up with that and partner with companies like us to actually help them innovate themselves and focus on where they can deliver value. So we not only can lower the total cost of ownership of the solution itself in the way that was just described, but we can also help our customers innovate and deliver new technologies and new solutions, knowing that the data that they have is secure, it's reliable, it's resilient. You can roll back to it in mission critical context. So the environments that Wind River are famous for in aerospace, in the public sector, in medical, in robotics, those areas are very, very key areas of our business. And I think that's the excitement between our two companies. And I could just see the sign over there, Rakuten AI. AI is going to be a very important component of that. And that innovation that Rakuten is going to bring to the table with us supporting a lot of that, it's going to help propel better customer outcomes for us and our customers.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Oni, I think if we could just expand the conversation for a second. So I think, again, this part of the reason why this partnership is so valued to us and why it's so important is, again, it's further progress into the enterprise space for Rakuten Cloud, for Rakuten Symphony. Can you talk us through why that's so important and being able to target verticals beyond telecom? And as you say, you mentioned CIO there. It's an interesting point in terms of it's I suppose it marks not just a shift, but again, that expansion into the enterprise. Can you talk us through why that's so important and what that means as part of the broader Rakuten story?
That's a great question. So, James, if you look at customers, right, they're trying to solve a problem. Technology is a means to an end. How do we solve a problem of a customer and the products which we bring to the table? We have just integrated our cloud-native storage with Wind River. But if you look at, we have complementary products coming from the portfolio of products which we offer. If a customer is setting up a new data center, how does the data center transform into plan, build, and run, which is the entire ecosystem of data center? If you are setting up a EV charging station, right? A customer wants to set up EV charging stations all around the globe, right? Or even within a city. We have technologies where we can complement each other to deliver that particular end objective of a customer. So this relationship or the partnership is not just signing a contract and making one product work. The objective is to take it to a next level to meet customers' requirement to deliver those expectations which the customer problem statements are. So if somebody's setting up a data center, his biggest concern is how do I make it maximize my total cost of ownership? How do I reduce my ROI and making sure my ROI meets my expectation? So the way we are positioning is cloud-native storage is one piece of it, but we have other products which can complement each other to make the data center run efficiently along with a Wind River solution. So that's what we are trying to achieve through this partnership.
Thank you very much. Daryl, do you have anything to add there in terms of Oni's comments?
Well, I think, we've been, as part of our business, in many millions of vehicles deploying radar technology, video technology. Pretty much any car that you buy today will have a camera in it. A lot of that data is going to be stored both in the vehicle and off the vehicle. You mentioned EV stations example, you'll plug in, it might download data from that. And what we're doing with that experience is we're taking that technology out of the vehicle and putting it into different settings. So that's an area where we can innovate. So think about we use hospital as an example. Think about a hospital with, hospital care. Rather than having a machine bleeping at you and you can't sleep, you'll have a camera in the room looking at what's happening and actually informing your medical care and your team how to better service you and look at you. Looking at, things like heat sensor cameras, infrared cameras. We provide all of that today. And with Rakuten Storage and our cloud and our mission critical technology, you can quickly see how we can innovate and drive better and more complete solutions that deliver unique value to those clients.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I suppose just one final question to both of you, one at a time, of course, is whether or what you'd like to see from the next phases of the partnership. What's next? You talk about the need to scale the solution and meet customer needs, but what would you like to see next? Firstly, to you, Onik.
Revenue. So, end of the day, we want to grow this relationship to a level where we can start complementing each other. So we are just doing at the platform level, but the objective is to go and meet customers, talk to the customers to deliver this entire solution end to end, number one. Second is there are complementary products which Aptiv brings to the table and Wind River brings to the table from the automotive side because they have enormous amount of footprint in that area. We want to make sure that our product, along with this partnership, is not 1 + 1 is 2. We want to make 1 + 1 11, if you will, which makes it extremely attractive for customers because end of the day, it's not selling a product. It's making sure customers' objectives are delivered, their challenges are overtaken. Because end of the day, it's not just selling a product and licenses and make money. I want to make sure customers are delighted with our solution and they become our reference points. And that's what is happening for us today in the context. So we want to drive that.
As you've mentioned, perhaps in slightly different words earlier, it's giving customers peace of mind with their infrastructure, making sure they can sleep at night, right? Making things as easy as possible.
Exactly.
Darryl, what about yourself? What are your expectations and hopes for this partnership?
Obviously, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Wind River, so revenue is kind of important, but you don't get revenue without delivering value to customers. And we want to get value to customers by talking and ideating with them in order to understand how to solve their problems more efficiently than they are today. With Rakuten and Wind River and Aptiv, we have an ideal set of ingredients that can actually have a very diverse conversation that will solve problems that they have today. So we should be able to drive that to value and revenue.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please, for our panelists, Anirban Chakravarti and Darryl Jordan-Smith. Thank you for listening.